NHL Nightly with your host, the sportsman, a.k.a. Pearlo the Bostonian, a.k.a. Jeremiah Maxwell. And with him, as always, maybe Pearlo, Wisdom, and Rico in Barrie. And how about the Degenerate Bostonian and Hot Take Hockey? We got them too. Okay, so we have Hot Take Hockey just for a minute, and I wanted to start the show off. Yes, this is NHL Nightly. We are talking a little bit of OHL because some OHL news broke this weekend that the Hyman family, yes, Zach Hyman from the Edmonton Oilers, was buying the Brantford Bulldogs. And Hot Take Hockey, for those who don't know, John Viveros works for the Brantford Bulldogs, so we think he has a unique perspective on this, and we just wanted to talk to him for a few minutes. Hot Take, talk a little bit about the sale. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, no, thanks, Beard. I'm the, as you mentioned, I work with the Bulldogs. I'm their host, and yeah, it was definitely a unique process. I think for any sale, whether it's junior, NHL, I think you want to obviously try to keep it under wraps until everyone knows, everyone involved is up to speed. But something like this was obviously a little bit more higher scale, and I would say higher visibility for an OHL team because
we heard about it.
Pardon?
We heard about it before the news broke. I heard about it anyway in my channels.
Exactly.
I was hearing about
it. There was definitely a lot of talk and a lot of word of mouth being happening there because kind of what I was alluding to is you have the owner of an NHL team with Michael Andlauer, owner of the Ottawa Senators, and then the party that's actually purchasing the team being part Zach Hyman, who's an NHL player. So I think at least at the junior level, this was very high visibility and two very high profile individuals involved here. So I think that played a part. I've met Michael, very nice individual. Everyone that I've worked with just says Michael Andlauer is just very top notch, one of the best owners to work with. And I'll say this, Jeremiah, and to everyone here on the stream is you don't see many owners attending games the way he did. Like this guy would have an Ottawa Senators game. I'm just giving an example, but he would have an Ottawa Senators game on a Saturday night, and he'd be there for the Bulldogs game Sunday afternoon. So
that's awesome.
This is not someone that was uninvolved, and I think that was the part here and just saying as much as I can say, this was, I think, the part that was probably tough for Michael Andlauer is he's a very involved general manager. So being the fact that the Ottawa Senators are likely going to have a new arena by around 2028, 2029.
Yep, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. He felt that he wanted to put his full feet forward, full attention forward on that. And then unfortunately with the fact that the Brantford Bulldogs are going to get a new arena, he can't focus fully on both. And that's just that's a life decision for any of us, right? If you want to put your full effort on something, you kind of have to focus on one. Picking between the two was tough for him. But being part of the Bulldogs organization as long as he had, I mean, talk about championships, talking about being able to move it to Brantford. And Brantford, again, whether it's a little bit underrated, it's still the city that produced Wayne Gretzky, the best hockey player of all time. So
exactly, that's not debatable.
So a really good OHL community. We pack the barn every night, and obviously it's just a couple hundred over 3,000 right now, which is pretty small. But the new arena should.
That's small So, John, just real quick. Just let me recap for the people that are coming in a little bit late. Our numbers are going up. This is John Viveros, a.k.a. Hot Take Hockey. He works for the Brantford Bulldogs. He's the host. We're asking because of the sale of the Brantford Bulldogs for Michael Andlauer, the owner of the Ottawa Senators, to the Hyman family. Yes, a.k.a. Zach Hyman. We were just getting into it. John, so real quick, two questions. One, attendance, 3,000, you said there in Brantford. What's a typical OHL arena usually for people that wouldn't know?
Average, I think right now is about 5.
Okay, about 5K. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
5,000.
About what we have here in Anchorage. 6,300, I think.
Yeah, teams like the London Knights and Oshawa Generals are closer to 10,000, but
they're the
new Brantford arena. The new Brantford arena will be about 5,500, so just above average.
Right. Okay. So they're building a new arena for them, so they're going to get an additional 1,500 seats. And I don't know the politics, but obviously Brantford was once the Hamilton Bulldogs, correct?
Exactly.
So,
yes.
Home of, I think, former Leaf, Dave Andreychuk, not if I'm correct. Dave Andreychuk, former Hamilton Bulldog, I believe. or was at least from Hamilton. Anyway, I may be way off. Anyway, I digress because we only have John here for a few more minutes. John, can you talk about the politics of why it moved in the first place, or was that just building stuff, or was it just too complex to really get into in a short period?
Yeah, it's probably a long story short, Jeremiah. I mean, to look at it from an external view, because I didn't work with them when they were in Hamilton, but from basically what the overview of that is, the First Ontario Centre in Hamilton, it holds basically as much as an NHL arena can. So you're basically talking, it's over 15,000. I don't know.
It's massive.
I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's between 16 to 18,000 capacity. So what they would do for those games is they would close off the upper bowl. So only the lower bowl would be open, which again,
was it cost? You think because opening a bigger building usually means it costs more money?
Exactly. So there was cost factors, there was city hall factors, there was just a lot of financial factors that were a bit of a barricade. But at the end of the day, it was just a matter of consistent attendance. And I mean, I think talking to you guys as hockey fans, and I can only speak for myself, but I'm sure you guys are probably with me. I'd rather be in a packed barn of 4,000 than be in a 10,000 capacity and only have 3,000 or 4,000 in there. Right.
Right. Yeah. It would feel a lot emptier even, No,
100%. So that was the vibe. And I mean, here's the thing, like I said, 3,000 or not, I can tell you go to a Brantford Bulldogs game, and I talk to other OHL guys on other teams, and they hate playing in that barn, maybe because of how small it is, but because how loud it is. It's the loudest barn
awesome.
in the OHL. London, I'll give London a credit. It's a close second sometimes, but we have our fans echoing off the roof all the time.
Well, John, let me ask you this in conjunction with that. Do you think that there's a lot of hysteria there just because, hey, this is a new team? These people for Brantford have been starved of getting to watch this level of hockey. So they've gotten this now. And so it's like when a new NHL franchise comes to a city, they sell out the season tickets. We've seen what Utah and Seattle and Vegas have all done in recent years. Do you just think that it's just that the fan base was there and there was a demand and it was just a great move? I mean, sometimes it works out, right?
No, 100%. I also think this is relevant to an NHL conversation with you guys because if you take just a look at it, I mean, I know Rico, you're an Ontarian or an Ontario native, so I don't know if I have to convince you of this, but if you look south of Ontario, there's just so many communities that just haven't had high level hockey, like Simcoe and surrounding area, and then obviously Brantford. So, I mean, talk about a lot of Hamiltonians, they love a lot of people in Hamilton. They love the Buffalo Sabres because for them, it's an hour and a half. You cross the border and you're right there versus sometimes ticket prices can obviously be higher in Toronto and you're still driving the hour and a half from Hamilton with traffic. So in that perspective, Jeremiah, there's just a lot of communities, Southern Ontario, that haven't really been able to see high level hockey. And it's still over an hour to get to Hamilton or Brantford. Most of these communities are within 30 to 45 minutes away. So it's just a lot of fans that haven't been able to see OHL hockey and now they do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously, this just shows me that this gentleman, Andlauer, is a genius and doesn't make rash decisions. And that move was calculated and well thought out. And if I'm a fan of the Ottawa Senators, I'm very happy in where they're going. Okay, John, I think you answered my questions about the sale. And I mean, I don't really think that it makes total sense. Andlauer's just too busy with the NHL team and doesn't know, he knows he can't commit the energy he needs to run them correctly. It's a great move. It's just, it's managing, your expectations, but not that, but just being realistic about what you can accomplish. I like that from an owner.
Yeah. And I just quickly to add to that, Jeremiah, and if we want to move on, the two biggest things, I mean, just for anyone, and this is a universal thing, is the one thing that Michael just put a respect on everyone that works for the Bulldogs is he wanted to make sure that whoever he was selling the team to would have that same vision and commitment to keeping it at Brantford. Right. So I believe there's a long-term vision here and run by the Hymans, and they have a good history with junior and minor hockey. And I mean, Zach Hyman's an NHLer, so you have a good backing with that.
Right. And I mean, he's probably made enough money to just run it the rest of his life, and make a decent living off of it. You know what I'm saying? Just based on what he's earned already and deservedly so. Unbelievable player, undrafted, right? I mean, great player.
For sure. A long-term venture for sure.
Sure. And I love it. I love when you see old NHL play like Dale, the Hunters, obviously Dale and Tim famously run the London Knights. And I know there's a bunch more. I know Mike Gardner's got some community rinks and stuff. So it's very cool. I love that because it feels like those guys give back to their communities and stuff. So that's great. I really appreciate it, John. I just, you gave us 10 minutes. I so appreciate it. You could talk a little bit about the Leafs since you were at the game if you want to. I really expected it to be a close game, and they've beaten the crap out of Dallas the last 10 times, it feels like. So what were your thoughts on the game as you were present?
Yeah, it's tough because you look at it like the Leafs 2 losses in a row, one specifically that was really rough against Vancouver Saturday night. And I don't know if
in the chat bragging about it. He's bragging about it. He said, I really love beating the Leafs 3-0. He's in here.
Well, I'm curious. I'll definitely listen in after the rest of the show. I'm curious on Rico's thoughts on Rico. I don't know if you saw the clip, the differing post-game interview from Mitch Marner and Craig Berube. One person said he didn't like the effort, and the other person said he liked the effort. So
I listened to that whole context, though. Kipper and Bourne did a really good job of playing that. Sam McKee, shout out Sam McKee, the producer there, where they played, I think it was Luke Fox's question to Marner, and it was basically asking about the effort. And he said, he liked the effort. He didn't mind the effort. And I didn't think they played a particularly bad game. I mean, sometimes you just get your butt kicked 3-0. And also kind of funny, hadn't the Leafs just owned Vancouver at home as of late? It feels like they've beaten the pants. I mean, the game you and I and Rico were at last year, they beat the pants off of them. They were really good last year. So this one probably hurts because they're getting stomped by Winnipeg tonight, by the way, 6-1. So if you didn't know that score,
I think, honestly, Jeremiah, I think there's just layers to the perspective of that game too. Whether you think they played well or not, just the JT Miller-Pettersson drama. There's a lot of stuff happening in Vancouver that's just not happening in Toronto. And I feel like that was the kind of game that should have, like you said, it was in Toronto. It was a
should have been a 6-1 Leafs game. You should have been doing what the Jets are doing to the Canucks tonight, in my personal opinion.
So I think that's the frustrating part, and that's the perspective there. So You know what? I think everyone's kind of been definitely they're buying into the Craig Berube effect. But then you look at the last couple of games here, and it's the scoring just dies down. And I think the big storyline is William Nylander only has 1 goal in his last 11 games. So that's obviously a concern as well.
I know. I hate seeing him go. I was hoping he was going to just keep going on a tear just because I feel like that guy was really, before this Marner drama, I always thought he was sort of the most scrutinized. But Charlie Dufresne, our Jets fan, says Jets were awesome. Kyle Connor ruled. Yeah, didn't he have a hat trick? So
but notice, Jeremiah, I'll just say this for Leaf fans, and this is a very obvious statement, but people forget this. You perform in the playoffs in Toronto, and fans will give you grace. If this was
they love Doug Gilmour. Doug Gilmour took them to the Western Conference Final. They still love him.
Exactly. Yeah. If this was William Nylander 4 years ago in the playoff struggles and he had 11 games and only 1 goal, he's definitely being criticized big time by the fan base. But you look at
he's not because of what he did in the playoffs. I agree 1,000,000%. I love that. I love that is what you're saying the fan base is doing too, John, because I think Leaf fans take a lot of criticism, fairly or unfairly. To know that they're not being hard on Willie because he's not scoring because they've seen him deliver in the playoffs kind of warms the cockles of my heart. That every hockey fan base isn't that intelligent. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And truly, man, I honestly think until Mitch does it in the playoffs, it's going to be the same reception that he gets from fans, unfortunately.
He signs in Utah for $17 million a year, I think. You heard it here first. I'm going to totally steal that from 2BC Hockey. Johnny 2BC, he had it on his sim when he's the GM of the Flyers, but Marner signed with the Utah Hockey Club for $17 million.
I will say I could totally see Utah or Chicago just giving him a crazy offer.
Chicago makes a lot of sense too. They need some skill with Bedard and quick and somebody that can play defensive forward, which Marner is very good at, I think. He doesn't get the credit for how good he is. Pearlo is always singing Marner's praises on here, though. For as bad as Pearlo will kill some guys like Matt Dumba, I saw him just trying to eviscerate Matt Dumba on Twitter today. Just because he has this vendetta against him. I don't know. But
you go, Pearlo. I love it.
But I digress. Let's just stay on topic here. Yeah. Anyway, John, you gave us 15 minutes. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, guys, of course. Thank you for having me as always. I'm going to share the stream right now, and I'm going to listen to the rest of the show with you guys. So I appreciate you guys letting me on, and keep doing well on the show.
Dude, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about it too. Go ahead, Rico.
We need one hot take trade on your way out. So follow at Hot Take Hockey on YouTube. John Viveros, the guy puts out the trade scenarios. Unbelievable. We're getting into that time of year. So what do you think's coming down the pipes, John? What's your one little hot take on the way out here as far as a trade maybe coming up?
Okay, well, I'll go spicy then, Pearlo, because I think you and I have already
talked.
That was
Rico.
Sorry, I said Pearlo. Sorry, Rico. Yeah, Rico. I was going to say Rico and I already kind of went over the Tanev and Yanni Gourde scenario, so that's not really hot take-ish, so I think everyone kind of knows about that.
Hey, what about Brandon Tanev? I like that. The Tanev brothers hooking up. It's like a superhero team for the
I think they're definitely looking at Yanni Gourde and Brandon Tanev. But if I had to go hot take, and again, this is a little bit of a package scenario, but if they'd have to figure out the cap implications of this. But I'm thinking a 2-for-1 special from the New York Islanders, whether it's Nelson or Pajot, and then get one of the defensemen, Pelech or Pulick.
Yeah. Well, either of those guys would be solid for the Leafs.
Because I think right now, I was just talking internally with the guys at the game tonight. It's the third line center and a top 4 defenseman. You could get a 2-for-1 special there from the Islanders.
And I got to tell you, John, you have some chips like Fraser Mint and Easton Cowan. And I know you said those guys were untouchable, but if you can add the pieces to win a Stanley Cup, you don't care.
Oh, if I could get a 50% retention on one of those defensemen, Easton Cowan, you are a New York Islander.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, and look, like, I know the kid's going to be pretty good, but you guys need to win now. Like, it's not like your window's closing, but we need to see the Leafs go on a run in the playoffs here. A second round, a third round.
100%. And the reason I pull out that hot take, and I hope this is sufficient enough for you, Rico, is remember the 2 Islanders runs, how much of a beast both those guys were, Pelech and Pulick. They were just absolute walls back there. And I mean, Joseph Woll was talking tonight pregame about how Chris Tanev is so valuable in front of him. You add another guy like that in Pelech, and that finally the Leafs have like a really solidified top 4 going into the playoffs.
Like having 3 goalies back there.
Oh, 100%. Pelech and Chris Tanev on the penalty kill. Hello, let's do it.
Dude, I love it. And how can you not love Chris Tanev? You're not a fan of hockey if you don't love it. Well, John, thank you so much. I appreciate it again, man. Rico, do you feel like you answered your question?
Absolutely, buddy. Love it, man.
Okay, awesome, John. I was going to lead with Rico's big news, but again, thank you so much for popping on real quick. John Viveros, Hot Take Hockey. We'll be seeing him a lot. I have a feeling. All right,
thanks,
see you, John.
You guys are the best. Talk soon.
See ya. All right. Okay. Okay. So we were going to lead off with I wanted to log off with a little. So I think Rangers just scored to go. I think it's 2-2. Oh no. Sorry, that was a replay. I think. I think yeah. They're showing highlights. Sorry. Rico hit the goal scoring prop with Gaudette plus 550 tonight. That would we led the show off with. You know, we are a little bit of a gambling show. Rico crushed it. Rico, man, be looking for my tweets. Rico gives you some sauce. I think about 25-30% of the time you hit on a goal scoring prop or 2. And if anybody bet any kind of money on any of this, like $1, you're up. Thank you, Hot Take Hockey, for sharing the stream again. Thank you for being with us. Yeah, Vancouver has to do something, Sod. It sucks, man. I don't like seeing it. Man. I wish there wasn't this infighting because Vancouver was such a great story last year. They were so fun. I was like, we're going to get 10 more years of Vancouver being great. And this year they're just kind of meh. But they could find their game. And that's the thing, you know. They have the team. So we'll see. Anyway, Rico, congrats, as Andrew says in the chat. That was awesome, dude. I always love when it just makes me so happy when you hit goal scoring props. So, so I just wanted to show out. He called tonight. I wasn't expecting it because I thought he had his heart procedure. But Craig Laughlin, aka Locker, he's going to go out for a while. He calls games for the Washington Capitals, Monumental Sports with Joe Beninati. They've been doing it forever. They called this Cap Stanley Cup. Anyway, I know a lot of people know John Walton, the radio guy for the Caps, had cancer. He's clear. He's doing games still. But Locker was going to be out for a while. He's going to miss some games. But he was at this game tonight. They dominated the Ducks. I was actually worried about the Ducks. I was like, this is a game we're going to lose. The Ducks have played. I've seen him play some good games. So anyway, shout outs to Locker. Red Wings are House of Fire, I wrote down, but not tonight. Macklin and the San Jose Sharks put it into the Detroit Red Wings 8-win streak. Bam! No, you don't, says Macklin. Dude, that team is so fun to watch. If you're not watching the Sharks, man, if you can stay up, if you're not on, what's east of Eastern time in Canada there, Rico, who lives out that way?
Atlantic. I think that's Atlantic time.
Right, but what's the province there? The biggest, is that
Newfoundland.
Is that Newfoundland?
Well, Newfoundland's a half an hour difference from Atlantic time, but there's Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia.
Okay, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. Okay, yeah.
Hey,
John,
I got some news.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you hear that Tony DeAngelo got his contract terminated?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I wrote that down. I have that.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I'll make sure. Yeah, well, I did know that, and I appreciate you reminding me, Rico, because I had meant to talk about it, but forgot to write it down, actually. So let's just get through it here. Then we'll talk. Red Wings streak ends. John Klingberg comeback. I'm hearing some teams, maybe Toronto. They got to do something about their power play. And we'll talk about it. Emil Heineman for Montreal gets hit by a car in Utah, out 3 to 4 weeks. That was crazy. I'm hearing wrist. And then the Brantford. Thank you again for Tahate Hockey for coming on and talking about the Brantford. Basically, the big deal was, they moved from Hamilton to Brantford. It's been a good move for them. They're selling out the bar and they have a great fan base. Hot Take Hockey's there. He hosts. The fans are notorious for being one of the better OHL home barns. So anyway, just to surmise that whole thing, they got sold from Andlauer, who's just too busy with the Senators, and Zach Hyman's family bought it. And they've been involved in minor hockey quite a bit. From what I heard, there's zero controversy. This is a non-story, but I was a hockey story, so I wanted to talk about it. And we had some inside knowing that John worked for the team. So we just wanted to see hey, there's nothing nefarious. It's a very much cut and dry story. Sometimes it's just cool. It's minutia stuff that I like to talk about from time to time. So I hope you folks don't get too bored. But we get into the weeds sometimes on this show. That's what I like to do. Zach Rowinski for Norris and Hart. Yes or no? I'm going to say yes for Norris, man. That dude had 2 goals tonight. He's the whole reason Columbus got an extra point against the Philly team that's kind of been humming since the Anaheim thing. Which, anyway, I saw nobody, by the way, talk about how Gauthier in the next game had 2 goals in the game winner in Carolina. Philly got up for that game, but, they're not a good team. Anaheim beat Carolina. Anaheim's not a good team. We just smoked them tonight. They didn't even look like they belonged on the same ice with the Capitals. I'd never say that about my team. I was like, we were in the whole time. I don't remember any sustained pressure from them. So, okay. Anyway, what do you guys think? Werenski for Norris or Hart? Anybody down? I mean, if you look, Mike, what do you think?
No on the Hart, but yes to the Norris. I'm not knocking him. I'm not saying he's not an MVP, but I just don't see it for a Hart trophy. But for Norris trophy, absolutely. I think he chews up a lot of minutes and he puts in good minutes when he's out there. So that's why I'm leaning on the Norris part.
Rico.
Unreal, man. I think he's been injured quite a bit in the last few years, and I think he's just a motivated player right now. The whole thing with the liney thing going on, and that you give a guy with talent, motivation, and a little bit of emotional boost that Columbus is getting this year to just try and fight for a playoff spot. They're in there right now. As of today, I think Columbus was.
They've been in. They've been in the second wild card for a while now. If they had a winning record, or if they were 500 on the road, they'd be 6 points clear of the wild card.
Yeah. That
They
sounds
are.
like a pretty tight room over there. Just with everything that's happened, I think everybody's just,
Yeah.
everybody's an NHL player. Effort sometimes and talent. You can separate those two sometimes, and sometimes effort prevails. And Columbus has just got the talent too with Marchenko, Voronkov. I know Shinnikov's been banged up a little bit, but Monahan centering that top line as well. And Werenski back there, Provorov, like they're getting goaltending. Like Merzlikins, and he's
Jack
another
Green's
guy.
guy's been good. He's been good. He was
For
money
sure. And when
against-
Merzlikins is focused, he's a good goaltender too. So
yeah, he's one of the best, I think.
Yeah.
We've
No, I
seen
love
him-
it. Great story. I'd love Columbus to.
Oh, I
really
hope they make the playoffs so bad. I think it's good and bad, but they actually have enough young talent in their system that I think it'll benefit guys like Fantilli and stuff. And they might, they could get Boone Jenner back. They could get some guys back towards the end of the, maybe just outside shot. They make a second round or something. Anyway, dude, I love it. The fans, every time I met Blue Jackets fans, they've just been class A, grade A people, really nice. Just good fans. We have Catherine Craig, one of our regulars that comes on, just an awesome person. Love listening to her hockey opinions. So diehard Blue Jackets fan. I love it. They got a great fan base, man. So I'd love to see them be successful. Werenski for Norris. Anybody else want to talk Norris or Hart? Pearlo, do you want to put your 2 cents in?
Yeah, I mean, if they make the playoffs, and Vancouver doesn't, I think he's got a really good chance, but I still think you got to give it to Hughes right now.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of positivity. Look, they're both American.
Yeah,
They're both on Team USA.
I've been on Werenski for years now, and I've been touting him.
Yeah.
And I would love for him to win it. But in all honesty, as much as my heart wants to go with Werenski, Quinn Hughes is doing some crazy stuff in Vancouver. He's amazing. So it's kind of hard to. But if they miss, hopefully he gets it. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
good for Columbus too to have a trophy in their on their team and stuff like that.
Like Werenski was a good defenseman years ago in that playoff series against Toronto. He was good back then. He just
that pairing of Werenski and Jones was that pairing of Werenski and Jones. I thought Jones got a lot of credit and Werenski didn't get a lot of credit when they were with that broadcast, with just that broadcast team, how it was portrayed here in the States, just from my opinion. And I just remember that Seth Jones and was so good in that series against Toronto and in that series against Tampa. I mean, they took Tampa to the limit again. Tampa had to overcome their 2019 demons. That's why they say you always got to overcome a demon in the playoff. Like the Leafs got to beat the Bruins or, Montreal or somebody that they've lost to that they shouldn't have won. Now, they've overcome the Tampa Bay, so I don't feel like Tampa Bay is a team. By the way, speed of Tampa Bay. No point. He didn't play. I was like, oh, is he banged up? That sucks. He's good. Nope, missed a meeting. Got his ass down. Dude, John Cooper, and they lost the game too. Like, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that the Lightning beat the Bruins with Point in the lineup. I know they lost 6-2, but that game kind of got out of control. I think they gave up a couple empty netters. So yeah, it was a 4-2 game basically. If Point's in there, I don't know. It's great defensive play. I mean, that's a tough game for him to sit out. Quite frankly, the Bruins are starting to find their mojo. Just starting to mess up that draft pick for you, Mike. What do you think?
Vazzy had a bad night. It was 4 goals on 9 shots. I don't think Point would have mattered. I think you could have thrown Chris Chelios on the ice. Vazzy, 4 goals on 9 shots. It wasn't his night. Chris
Chelios and Dominic Hasek back there. It wouldn't have mattered if that many goals were allowed. Yeah. They'll have stinkers, man. And sometimes you just get good puck luck too, and you get good rubber on the net.
Yeah, it's simple as that. I think they're better with Point. Obviously, I'm not happy with the Bruins win. It sounds dumb to say that, but we got the first wild card spot again.
No, but I mean, I don't think it does, man. I think it would do the Bruins some good to miss the playoffs.
I would too. I'm rooting for
them. I think they need to be in a top better pick. They've got. I mean, if you're not scouting, you're doing a lousy job.
We talked to I got to talk. The Savage and I talked to the Bruins scout a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
when we went up to see Maine, and then we
did you ask him like, are they drafting his recommendations? Because I'd be interested.
They're looking at goalies. Like,
whoa, okay.
Why do we need goalies?
I mean, you always want to have a goalie in the system, Mike, for sure. Like that is the single. No, I got you. But like, one's in college, right? Swayman's starting his long-term deal, but you figure midway through that he'll get traded or something.
We're looking at more goaltending. I don't think goaltending's our problem. I think centers are our problem.
Yeah, Pasta's heating up fast. The Bruins have actually looked decent, which I'm kind of bummed out about, man. I kind of wanted Sweeney to eat dog crap on this one, man, just because what he did to Chicklets. Like, dude, don't pretend you don't know who the biggest hockey podcast in the whole land is. Like, we're not here talking if it's not for spitting Chicklets. Like, what are we doing here, man?
Yeah,
like,
he sucks.
Ryan Whitney is in town, bro. Like, come on, man. It was disrespectful. And then trading Ullmark before you have an extension for Swayman, I bet you could have got Sway for $6 million a year if he'd have kept Ullmark. We're going to maybe try to keep both, Jeremy. $6 million a year. Boom. Times 8. Oh, no, sorry. We had to trade Ullmark. Oh, Swayman's good. You're going to be our starter. He's making $6 million. But he knew his value, and he knew his value because you went to ARB with him before. So that was a mistake. Again, their egos, man. So anyway, Bruins fans, I feel your pain. Okay, Rico brought up Tony DeAngelo. If you guys didn't see the news, Tony DeAngelo was released from his KHL contract. I believe he was like second in scoring in the KHL for defensemen or something too. He was having a good year. I got some information, and it sounds like it's a family reason. So he's just coming back for family. Now, could that family reason be an excuse to sign with an NHL team? I'm hearing it could be the Vancouver Canucks. So Saad, if you're in here, the rumors I'm seeing on the interwebs, I'm hearing Canuckies. And did Kipper say that today on his show too? Because I heard it from somewhere else, but I wasn't sure. Did you listen to Kipper and Born all the way today?
I didn't. I was at work today.
Okay. I didn't know if you try to catch that, while you're working too. Like, I don't know what you're listening to. I mean, if you're selling stuff to people, you probably can't be. Oh, hey, hold on. I want to listen to what Kipper says about the Leaf forecheck.
Yeah, no. I'm in the snake pit at work when it's busy. So
yeah. Yeah. Excuse me, ma'am. I need to listen to Nick Kiprios' thoughts on this forecheck from the Leafs here. Before I sell you
something right now. 1 sec. Give me a minute. I'm just watching something.
I just thought you might listen to it on the radio, like old school, because you're old like me. Anyway,
if I control the radio, I'd have the Fan 590 on all day.
Yeah. Hey, Rangers are up 2-1, 17 left to go in the third. Pearlo, you were on the Rangers, weren't you?
I do have the Rangers.
Yeah, you were on the Rangers.
I really thought
well, I mean, there's a lot of time left. Don't be toot your thing. Oh, Rempe almost buried one. Oh, but Nathan McKinnon. Oh my God, that guy's ridiculous. Okay, so if Tony DeAngelo's coming back, and who would you like to see him sign with? All of a sudden, all these teams realize they need defense. I think the Oilers would be freaking perfect. And he could quarterback their second power play if they ever put the back end. And they could rotate the back end. It wouldn't hurt to not just have Bouchard and Ekholm there the whole time. I don't know. I think it could give them a little bit of back end bite that they've been. I mean, if Bouchard's not scoring from, they're not getting much from their back end. So I don't know, man. I don't. He's not going to cost. So you can still add. I don't know. I don't hate it for them.
And the Oilers have a history of harboring players that have been through stuff too. So
reclamation projects, as we call them.
This is writing on the wall. This is an Edmonton Oiler. This is him coming to the NHL to be on a Stanley Cup team, an almost top 4 favorite to win the cup.
And this gives Edmonton some flexibility too, right? Because they'll still have their assets if they need to add something else. Which to me, right now, I'm looking at the numbers, and Edmonton's sucking secondary scoring. If it's not coming off Draisaitl or McDavid's stick, and sometimes Hyman, because he's not scoring at the rate he was last, they're in some trouble in that regard, which I don't think anybody would have thought at the beginning of the year. I think defense and goaltending, people would have been like, yeah, Edmonton's going to struggle in those departments. But secondary scoring, oh, that's why they brought Skinner. Oh, that's why they brought Arvidsson. That's why they got, anyway, you guys know. We don't have to beat that dead horse. Okay. Yeah, this Rangers game is good, man. I'm trying to see what other games are still live. Canadians are up 3-2 on Utah with 18:54. I was watching a little bit of that Penguins Kraken game. Wow, the Kraken were down 2-1 and they scored 2 quick, and then they ended up getting the empty netter. It was a pretty even game, really, honestly. Could have gone either way. Thought Pittsburgh just got crushed for making mistakes. I think Seattle is kind of a mistake-free team. They just don't really have a lot of high-end talent on their team. So I think it would benefit them to be sellers big time. So before we talk about tomorrow's games, because we've been not that long, but
the Pittsburgh just went public and said they're going to be selling no matter where they are in the standings.
Oh, really? That's a good move.
Yeah,
that's a good move. I heard Pettersson is a guy they could get a lot for him, I think. Isn't he a right shot D too?
Left, but still.
Okay, but still, I mean, just the demand of D right now for teams that don't have the depth. I mean, thank God, like the Capitals have Alex Alexiev. They're not even skating him. Like he's a scratch. He's playing on the Black Ace. He's up in the NHL, but he's not. I mean, I think they rotated him out. And then they had McElrath playing earlier when Roy got hurt. So he played a ton in the NHL at the beginning of the year, like almost a month and a half. So like I feel good if I'm a Caps fan or a Caps supporter of the Caps, I feel like I think the Leafs are close. Rico, do you think, if you made a big move and you brought in a bunch of depth, you might want to add like Kate Hockey? What about something with Morgan Riley going the other way? Would you be okay with Morgan Riley being traded?
Yeah, I just don't think that's going to happen, though. I think Morgan Riley's going to be here if they win a cup. I don't think they're going to move on from him. I think just adding a little bit more depth on the penalty kill and stuff, maybe a right-hand shot. I know Klingberg's been floating around Edmonton and Toronto as well, too.
He was skating in Toronto, from what Sam McKee said that today on Real Kipper and Born. That he was skating in Toronto. That's my source on this.
Yeah. So I know they started Steven Lorentz on the top line with Matthews and Marner today, and they moved Nyes down with Tavares. So they're just trying to see what they got right now for the next couple weeks. Just move guys around the lineup, see what's clicking, see what's good. So
Rico, you guys aren't scoring. Wouldn't you be like, what's going on if the coach wasn't kind of juggling the lines? I feel like this is par for the course.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're just seeing who works with who. Because I mean,
I'd be more nervous if the coach is doing nothing.
You got to move a guy up. You want him to be familiar with somebody. So
yeah, I'm just saying, like, the concern to me would be if Berube changed nothing the whole year. No, going this way. Like, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, for sure. And Babcock was guilty of that too as well back in the day, just being a coach as well. So, I mean, I like him moving around the lines, but you're going to see this team get a little better at the trade deadline. You'll probably see maybe Easton Cowan. I mean, his showing at the World Juniors didn't increase his stock by any means, but the kid's still an amazing player. So, I mean, you just need Stolarz and Woll healthy. I say Woll still probably starts game one of the playoffs if you had a choice between them both. But
yeah, Woll's look good, man. I don't think they lost tonight because of Woll.
No. They went. The Leafs went to Vancouver and beat the Canucks, and then the Leafs went to Dallas in the Robertson Bowl as well too. And his kid brother Nick Robertson had a lot better game than his brother. So I think Dallas just had it in and had this game on their calendar tonight. But the Leafs came out hot, man. Matthews came out.
Yeah, got that goal.
Well.
Guys scored first, yeah.
They were rolling early, and the Leafs win 85% of their games. They're second in the league when they score the first goal to win the actual game. So it's one of those things where a couple bounces here and there.
I thought some puck luck went Dallas's way.
Yeah.
You know, when you're playing good and you're winning games too, sometimes you create your own puck luck.
Yeah.
And that's definitely the case here with Dallas. They were the better team. I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but I didn't think the Leafs played terrible. I know John, he's missed out some good Leaf games. We talked about the Bruins Lightning 6-2, but that game's not indicative. By the way, Montreal, Utah is tied 3-3. Logan Cooley.
Sweet. Got the over.
Josh Doan with the power play goal to open up the game. His second of the year, Josh Doan, who's up for Gunther, right? He's hurt. Yeah. Rico's cat knows.
Yeah. Cooley's got a little mean streak to him, too. I think he's going to be a good little player.
I'm so glad he's American. I'm like, we got another guy that's going to be a little rat bastard to play against. He's kind of a Matthew Tkachuk, but he's got some skill, bro. That kid's good. He came out of Pittsburgh, I think. So Yinzer, typical Yinzer, which I love. Shout out Nick Moraldo for Pat McAfee show. Yinzer, hockey fan. Yinzer. Speaking of Pittsburgh, dude, the Pens, like they didn't look terrible. They looked pretty good in the game, and then just the Kraken, who are a more talented team than them, which is I'm not saying much because Pittsburgh doesn't have any talent left on their team if it's not Sid Crosby. And Malkin's back, and obviously Raquel's having a great year. I think he was one of their goal scorers, and Brian Rust is always good. Oh no, it was Tomasino, excuse me. But I think that was like Rust 17th. He's always a really good player. He's good for 30 goals. That guy's good. He doesn't get the credit, right? He was on those cup teams and stuff. I don't think people acknowledge he's a really good player. So
the thing with the Kraken is I think three guys on their team have like 13 goals to be leading the team. So like the Kraken fashion, they've been spreading it around coming into the league. So they praise themselves on depth, right? When they made the playoffs, they had 4 lines going. Any guy could score.
Right. It felt like they had 4 second lines, and now it feels like they have 4 third lines.
Yeah, and Ron Francis isn't a type of guy to make a rash decision on stuff as well too. Some people think he should be a little bit more aggressive, but the problem with Seattle is they don't have a big prospect pool just coming into the league, so they don't have.
They have some good players though. That Riker Evans is going to be a damn good defenseman for a long time.
Yeah.
I wanted to show
I just
you
saw
guys
where like Bjorkstrand and Burakovsky's on the block, but I mean.
Did you guys see this thing with the puck and the Penguins fan thing? Did you guys see that video? You guys all saw the Philadelphia Eagles video, I'll bet.
I saw the Philadelphia Flyers one where the guy started punching the Leaf fan.
Yeah.
That's Philly.
Yeah, but that guy was a dumbass. He deserved to get punched. Like, dude, you don't go to Philly and mock their fans. You have a death wish. I mean, the old vet, they had a jail there. They just like, what'd you do? Oh, you got the punch. 24 hours in the tank right here at the arena. Like straight up.
You got punched, they'll punch your ticket. Okay, you're in a timeout.
I mean, that's pretty much what it was back in the 70s and stuff. So, no, but this old man, I guess, took a puck from a kid and then like a Penguin's wife or girlfriend or whatever gave an autograph puck to the kid. And then like, I don't know, everybody like chastised the old man or something. I don't know, but it was weird. He was just like a jerk off. This old man. I don't know why he was mad. The kid got an autograph puck when he ripped the puck from the kid's hand. Like, I guess earlier, I didn't see that video, but that's the testament I'm seeing. I thought maybe we talked that drama, but I forgot I can't share. I got to figure that out, man. I can't produce, man. Yeah, so where do you guys want to see Tony D land? We didn't talk about that, and then we'll go into tomorrow's games.
We'll take him, and then we're going to trade McAvoy for the Hall because he's
take who?
No, I'm saying come to the Bruins, and then we can move McAvoy out.
Oh, that's not happening. Mike, quit. I mean, don't quit being hyperbolic, man. Be legit. Come on. You're just being too much of a fanboy, Mike. Come on. Give it an actual answer, you bag.
I think, honestly, he does go either. I think he would go to Jersey. I think he'd go to Vancouver. I think he'd go to Edmonton. One of those three.
Yeah, I think Jersey wouldn't hurt either, but because he's not going to cost anything. But Avi says McAvoy is so overrated until you don't have him, Avi. And then you're like, oh, man. You think they'd be better off without McAvoy, Pearlo? Let's not have this discussion. It'll just irritate me. So, yeah.
I think with Hampus Lindholm in the lineup, he's a much different player. He's not.
Hampus Lindholm is a super underrated defensive defenseman, though, man. That's a big loss from their lineup. But like Pete Blackburn said on Jeff Merrick's show, it's an excuse. Everybody's had injuries. The Caps were missing Roy, their biggest defensive defenseman signing that they've had, in my opinion, since Brooks Orpik. And that's how good Roy is. He's good. And then, I get it, man. It is what it is. Okay. We only have 2 games tomorrow, so it's easy ones. So just give both picks when I go to you. Hurricanes, Sabres. Sabres are home dogs. Oilers, Wild. Both games are TNT games, by the way. So Max for you, Pearlo, now. If you have Max or TNT or True TV. Also True TV. So see if your box gets True TV, because that's one too a lot of times. So anyway, Oilers, Wild. Wild are home dogs. Both home dogs. Wild are plus 160. I thought Edmonton kind of got gifted the game against the Kings, and the Kings deserved a better fate. I thought they actually outplayed Edmonton for large portions of the game. And then the 4-on-4 basically settled it, when I think it shouldn't have been a 4-on-4. I think it should have been a 5-on-4. I think McDavid got away with a check from behind. And I know he got slew-footed and Kempe got fined. I didn't see that. When I saw the replay, yes, dirty, definitely should have been called. The refs missed a slash too, like a high stick for McDavid. Like, it was blatant in the game. It was like, those things could be the difference. Sometimes it's just puck luck. I'm not blaming the officiating, but I'm saying, like, I think it cannot be ruled out as it was not a factor in the win. So, they win a 1-0 game. McDavid scores the only goal. It happens to be his birthday. Oh, that's a good story. It feels like it writes itself. But it also feels very sussy when you're like, oh, they didn't call that, or they didn't call that, or they didn't even think of calling it. And then it creates a scrum, and then they call 4-on-4. Okay. Just a weird one for me on that one. Damn, Flames beat the Hawks 5-2. Hawks can't win 2 in a row at all. That's not happening this year. So, Pearlo, what do you like? Hurricanes, Sabres, Oilers, Wild.
Just Minnesota's too banged up. Oilers should be able to make easy work of them there.
Okay.
Take them in regulation. And Buffalo, yes. Carolina.
I think still no Kaprizov for them. Let me make sure.
Still no Kaprizov. Yeah, still no. They don't have their top 3 defensemen. They don't have
Faber's out. Yep. Yeah, Faber's out.
What are you going to do with that against the Oilers?
Faber, Brodin, Lauko, Spurgeon. So, yeah. And Kaprizov. This feels like a loss. Don't talk yourself into the plus money. If they win this game, they earned it, obviously. Yeah. They're going to have to get some goals from, like, Marcus Foligno and stuff. Matt Zuccarello, that's a guy Montreal scored to make it 4-3. Okay, thank you. Yeah, 13 minutes left. And we still have the Colorado New York Rangers game too. So thanks, guys. Rico, what do you think of that game?
Yeah, I love the Wild in this spot, except for all their injuries, like Brodin, Spurgeon, Faber, Kaprizov. Like, oh my God, my cat's like totally telling me not to take the Wild right now. But I think it's going to be an under game. The last time Edmonton played these guys, they hammered Minnesota 7-1. You don't think these guys remember that, Nick? The last time Edmonton came into their building and whomped them 7-1. So I think it's just going to be a low event game. I think it's going to be an under. If you get a 6, just take the under. I think Minnesota is just going to just try and shut this game down to nothing and not get in the track meet. They can't. So yeah, I don't mind the under in this game. Some people will take it over, but
how about you, Mike?
I was looking at the over because I'm getting 5.5, but I'm definitely going parlay for the Hurricanes Oilers. I like them both there.
Yeah, I know Oilers aren't scoring though. That's
why I'm like wishy-washy. I'm looking at Gustafsson being the starter. I'm like he's good, but he can have a bad game. But I'm taking chalk for both of these. It's just the way I'm going to lean on it.
I got you.
That, but
well,
it's going to be that way.
Well, it's fine. Chalk rocks. Well, they're not going to get any. There's 2 games.
Yeah, plus 142 for the parlay. So
yeah, I mean that's a good deal. And you know what? Hurricanes have been playing great, and I don't know what Buffalo is. They were up. They dominated Seattle. I was like, oh my god, I'm not going to watch this game. I like turned it back and I'm like, holy crap, Seattle scored 6 unanswered goals. But again, sometimes now that's a 4-2 game. 2 empty netters. It's not as big a deal. So love it. Okay, those are the games. We will be back tomorrow, 10:30, to talk about these games and any other news. Let's bring some cool trades you'd like to see. And then who do we think should be sellers but won't? And then, like, who would you really love to see sell? So bring that to the table for tomorrow's episode. You guys got anything before we get bounced? It's not final.
Sorry, Pearlo, did you say you got some type of swag or something?
He's wearing it.
Some type of what?
He's wearing it.
I was going to say your hat looks like you dyed it black, your Whalers hat. But
yeah, I sent him a dark blue. I sent him a dark blue Whalers hat. I sent him a dark blue Whalers hat, and I sent him a ring light. That's why his picture looks so good.
Oh,
sent him a ring light. Are you using the ring light?
My face too. I got a light.
Dude, you look. I actually can talk to you. You're not like a blob on the screen. So it's cool.
It was like the movie Predator. You know when the Predator appears?
Yeah,
that's what he looked like.
All infrared. Oh yeah, he's there somewhere. Or like Mr. Burns on the X-Files episode where he's all like glowing in the dark. It's all translucent. All right. Okay, Mike, you will be back with me Friday for the College Hockey Show. We definitely have stuff to talk about. Merrimack beat BC. That's a huge upset. That dropped BC in the pairwise. They definitely won't be number 1. It will definitely be Michigan State now. But
Arizona State's at 13.
Arizona State took 3 of 4 points from the defending national champions at home, correct?
3 or 4 at home, and then they just split with Nodak.
Okay, they split with Nodak. They took 3 or 4 from Nodak. My bad, it was Nodak. Anyway, that's going to look good for them. So we'll have that to talk about on Friday. But me, Rico, and Pearlo will be back tomorrow night, 10:30 Eastern, NHL Nightly, to talk your little nightly news rag here and gambling show.
What about this Frank kid for Washington? How's he?
Dude, I mean, 2 goals in 2 games, and he led the nation in scoring at Central Michigan. Buchagras has been like, he was undrafted. The guy is speedy. He's been kind of the injection we've needed. We honestly, what he's doing is what I kind of hope we get from Vrana. And Vrana's had some kind of big goals earlier in the year, but he hasn't done much. In fairness, he hasn't been getting to play every game anyway. So that can kind of take you out of your rhythm. I thought he played a particularly good game, scored a goal, and they didn't have him the next game. I was a little bit like, oh, Carberry, what are you doing? But I think it might have been 2. Anyway, there's been so many games, but they need it right now, Rico. They're not getting anything from Wilson or the PLD the last couple of games. And then Ovi scored, obviously, the empty netter, but teams are just queuing on him, man. They just don't want him to score. Like, and I get it, but like the Caps are scoring. Their power play is doing really well because Because, dude, quite frankly, somebody tweeted it out and it was like, I wanted this, but I created this, that meme or whatever. And I wanted Mike Green and I created Jacob Chychrun. Like, I think a lot of Capitals fans are starting to think, wow, this is the best offensive defenseman we've had since Chychrun. And not that
John Carlson hit the net.
I know. Yeah, John Carlson scored tonight too, for sure, man. Well, he has had, I think, 3 goals called back on offsides this year too. So and then he's hit some posts. Like there's 3 or 4 games I remember he hit a post twice in a game. So he could have a lot more goals this year, but they don't need it. They're getting it from Chychrun. Like they just need Carlson to be the Yeti steady, good defensive. He's basically the good defensive defenseman now. That's what they need from him. Chychrun can be the offensive guy, and that's what they're getting from him, and it's working. So I love it. T's and P's to Craig Laughlin. That's my thing. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 10:30. Me, Pearlo, and Rico. Mike and I will be back for the College Hockey Show, 2 p.m. Eastern, Friday. And then, guys, I might have to be out on one. I got to take a dog to bed. We'll figure it out on the 18th, or I think it's next Monday. We're not having a show, so it's good. We don't have to worry about it. Anyway, later. Peace. We're out of here.